Hello and welcome to part 2 in what is shaping up to be perhaps a 4-part series on creating an in-depth character in Dungeons & Dragons. Last time we looked at working out what kind of race and class you wanted to play and why and what kind of person you wanted to be. Today we're going to look at what you do if you are stuck on either the big details, little details, or the ones in between, and how you can use the random tables available in Xanathar's Guide to Everything and the Player's Handbook to help you work out what your character is. Please enjoy. So, you've gone through that whole first section, but you still haven't hit that ray of hope, that ray of inspiration that you were waiting for. You're still stuck on a fair few details on how to build your character. You've got your class, you've got your race, you've got your ability scores, but who they are is still evading you. Thankfully, they'll all have to be up to you. D&D comes with a wide variety of random tables for you to roll on to help decide who you are. Why am I doing the politician thing? D&D handbooks come with a plethora of resources and tables to help decide who you are. You being your character. I hope at this point you have a vague idea of who you, the person, are. But who am I to judge? The two main sources for these random tables are the Player's Handbook, of course, and Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which literally has almost really anything and everything in it. The Player's Handbook normally covers things like personality traits and things tying to your background, bonds, ideals that are made from you being an acolyte or a cloistered scholar. And these can be very helpful, very good RP hooks to decide how you would react in certain things. But what they don't do is decide things like where you were born, how many siblings you have, relationship you have with those siblings. That is stuff that is covered in Xanathar's. In fact, you can make an entire character completely at random from the Xanathar's tables. In fact, that's what we're going to do now. So what we're going to start off with is rolling the ability scores, because these are going to be fairly important from the get-go. We will not assign them just yet, however. So I have 4d6 here. I'm adopting the 4d6 drop the lowest method. Let's roll. First off, we've got a 4, 4, 3, and 2, which gives us 11. Second roll, 6, 4, 4, 2, that's 14. Roll number 3. 6, 4, 2, 2. That is 12. Fourth roll. 5, 4, 2, 2. That is another 11. Roll number 5, please. Ooh. 6, 3, 3, 1. That is another 12. Got some very middle of the road stats. And our final roll. Oof. 5, 2, 2, 2, 9. Well, we are playing the most average of people. So next up, we're going to roll for race and class. This is done using a D100, which I should grab. So we've got a D100. Let's roll for race. 75. I'm looking at the wrong table. 75. 75. That makes us a Dragonborn. Excellent. I think hopefully we can find some way to decide what colour Dragonborn we are at some point. I'll figure that out. But first, let's roll another D100 and decide what class our Dragonborn is. 78. That makes us a Rogue. Dragonborn Rogue. Hell yeah. We're going off the assumption that this person is level 1, just because it's easy. We're then going to use everyone's favourite digital toolset, D&D Beyond, to make this character, because it's been so long since I made a character in the conventional way that I don't know if I can remember how. Also, I'm lazy. So, create a character. You can also, if you do have access to D&D Beyond, you can literally roll a random character on that. However, they do come out as kind of garbage all the times I've made them. They have no idea how to allocate stats, and while it's funny, I'd hate to play all the characters that I've rolled on these. Right, standard. Name. Randomize. Perfect. This actually works very well for a Dragonborn. This person is called Moxiros. They're a communist Dragonborn, which means they're going to be red. Dragonborn, we get +2 strength, +1 charisma, very good for rogues. Draconic ancestry. Red, baby. Class. Next up, pick class, which is going to be rogue. Add class. So we have our class, we have our race, we have our ability scores. I have now put the ability scores in with their appropriate racial modifiers from being a dragonborn. So we have 11 strength, 14 dex, 11 con, 11 int, 12 wisdom, and 13 charisma, because I can't not play charisma, regardless of if it's for an example or not. But the question remains, who is our lovely Marxist dragonborn boy? Well, that is what Xanathars is for. We start off with more D100 rolls. This is to decide who our parents are. Well, this is to decide whether or not we know our parents. 91. We do. It's a very small chance of not knowing who our parents are, which I guess makes sense, but you know. So, we know who our parents are. Parents, yes. Next up, we're not a half-elf, we're not a half-orc, we're not a tiefling, we don't need these tables. Where were we born? This is another D100 roll. 51. We were born at the home of a family friend. That could have been awkward. To be fair, other options include a battlefield or like in the Shadowfell. So really, I think being born in a friend's house isn't too bad. Siblings. How many siblings do we have? This is a D10 roll, which then requires another roll afterwards, one of which is a D3, which I don't have. So 1, which means we have no siblings. We're an only child. No siblings. We're sad and lonely. Family and friends. We don't really have much family. Okay, so this determines who raised us. Another D100 roll. So many of these in this one. It's a very good chance to finally get to use the D100 a lot. 57. We were raised by a single mother or stepmother. Should we flip a coin for the two? I don't have a coin. Do I have a coin? I have no money. Oh, I do. I have a 2 pence coin. So, tails, stepmother, heads, birth mother. 3, 2, 1, yeet. I can't remember which one. It's tails, which is stepmother. We were raised by a stepmother, but we do know who our parents are. Interesting. Very interesting. Our absent parent. We have 2 absent parents, birth parents at least. We have a lovely stepmother, at least I hope she's lovely. We'll roll on an alignment table later for her. Absent parent, the D4. The 3. Oh. Parent abandoned us. Well, that's sad. So our parents are deadbeats who left us on our stepmother's doorstep. Or maybe they were killed because our grandfather's the emperor. Who knows? Because that would make sense. Lifestyle, that's 3d6 to define what we grew up as. What? 11. I can do maths. 11 means modest, which is a +0, which, oh, okay. So this comes into effect when we're rolling the quality of our childhood home. Childhood home, that's a D100. And then we apply the modifier, but we don't have a modifier because we're modest. We're so humble, we don't modify things. Let's roll that D100. That's a 16. Ah, no, we lived in a rundown shack. Ah, Shaquille O'Neal took us in. Can't believe we turned Shaquille O'Neal into a house. So wonder it's run down. You shouldn't make people into houses. It's not a good idea. Childhood memories. So this is one why we wanted to roll stats ahead of time, because this does actually require the charisma mod, which ours is 1. So we're gonna roll 3d6 plus our charisma modifier to determine how much we remember from childhood. 11 plus 1, 12. Okay, so this is more like sort of what our childhood was like, I guess. I had a few close friends and lived an ordinary childhood in my rundown Shaquille O'Neal with my stepmother after being abandoned by the son of Palpatine. So that is where we came from. Now, let's look at what this chapter calls personal decisions. What does that mean? Let's find out. So, it turns out that Xanathars doesn't have a random background table, at least not what I could find. So I just have my good old friend, the player's handbook, and I'm just going to flip it open to the first page and hope that it's a background. It's not. It's magic. Outlander. We live in a shack, but we're an Outlander. We're from Scotland. So, now we have the fact that we're an Outlander, we can roll on the Outlander table, which is a d6. Boink. 2. I became an Outlander because from a young age I couldn't abide the stink of the cities and preferred to spend my time in nature. If you grew up living inside Shaquille O'Neal, I don't blame you. I would too. Next up is why we became the class that we are. So we are a rogue. Why did we become a rogue? This is another d6 roll, so let's see what we get. 5. I took up with a group of ruffians who showed me how to get what I want through sneakiness rather than direct confrontation. Seems to be a fairly lonely child. Makes sense. Now we get on to the life events section, which is first determined by how old we are. So we need to roll for how old we are, which is D100. I can't remember how long Dragonborns live, so this could be bad. How do you roll on this table if you're an Aarakocra? Because if it's 1 to 20, you're 20 years or younger. I don't think Aarakocra live to 20. 92. We old. We are 51 to 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll another D10. 1 being 51. 10 being 60, and find out where we are in that bracket. We're 58! 58 years old. We're an old man. Old communist man. But what this does mean is we get a certain amount of life events based on how old we are. We are 58, so we get 1d10. 7 whole life events. So we have to make 7 rolls on this table now. So it's going to take a second. Let's bring this up here. It's just so I can look down less. But we rolled all our 7 life events, and boy howdy, we got a selection. So we went on an adventure. Roll on the adventures table to see what happened to you. Work with your DM to determine the nature of the adventure and the creatures you encountered. You suffered a tragedy. Roll on the tragedies table. You met someone important. Use the supplemental table to determine this character's identity and how this individual feels about you. Work out additional details with your DM as needed to fit this character into your backstory. You spend time working in a job related to your background. Start the game with an extra 2d6 GP. You made a friend of an adventurer. Use the supplemental tables and work with your DM to add more details to this friendly character and establish how your friendship began. You fought in a battle. Roll on the war table to learn what happened to you. Work with your DM to come up with the reason for the battle and the factions involved. It might have been a small conflict between your community and a band of orcs, or it could have been a major battle in a larger war. And then finally, you encountered something magical. Roll on the arcane matters table. This is a lot of things to roll, and I don't know if I can be bothered to roll all of them because we're already at a lot of time gone, at least on my end. Fuck it. I've got a notepad document open now. Let's do it. So, roll on the adventures table. 3. We nearly died. Oh god. You nearly died. You have nasty scars on your body and you're missing an ear, 1d3 fingers, or 1d4 toes. How do we decide what we're missing? Do we roll a d3 and then figure out which one? So yeah, let's do 2. So we're missing 1d3 fingers. Let's roll that d3 again then. We're missing 2 fingers. Alright. Next up, the tragedies table. This one is a d12. 6. War ravaged your home community, reducing everything to rubble. Shaquille, no! In the aftermath, you helped your town rebuild or moved somewhere else. That could explain, in part, why we became an Outlander. Because we didn't have a town anymore in big cities. We didn't like them. They're gross. We'll skip over the extra character one. It's just for fun, find out how much gold we start with. Oh shit, double 6s, y'all! Extra 12 GP, yeah boy. Friend and adventure, we'll skip over that one. Throw on the war table. War! What is it good for? Character development. 2. You were badly injured in the fight and you still bear awful scars of those wounds. I feel like this adventure and this war are kind of tied into one thing because we got real fucked up in that adventure. So I think they're like in with one. And finally for this bit, let's roll the arcane matters table. Find out what weird magical stuff we've got. The D10, this one. 4. You drank a potion. Okay, of the DM's choice. That's not for us to decide right now. We'll get our DM to think of it. Okay, we're getting towards the end of it now. What our communist dragonborns alignment is. This is 3d6, which feels like an oddly specific number. That's 12. We're neutral. Okay. Look, you take a man's Shaquille O'Neal house away from him and he just really has no opinions left, it turns out. We do somehow, however, have a job as an Outlander because we earned that extra 12 gold. So let's find out what that job was, because there's a handy supplemental table here for it. This is D100. 75. We're a labourer, that makes sense. Even though we're like, well, no, we've got 11 strength. We're average. We can lift rocks. I don't know what labourers do. And finally, let's wrap up some loose ends. Let's talk about dearest stepmama. What is our stepmother's alignment? That is 11. Stepmama is also neutral. She taught us well. What is her status? Is she alive? Is she dead? Actually, first, let's find out what job she works. Because, as we all know, work is more important than whether you're alive or dead. 81. Grandma, stepma, is a bureaucrat or a politician. Oh, stepmama. Alright, what's our relationship with stepmama? That is 3d4? That's such a weird amount. 5. Okay, we're friendly. We're on good terms with stepma. And finally, is stepmom alive or dead? This is another 3d6. 11. She's alive and well! Hooray! Good for stepma. So there you have how you can put together most of a character based entirely on random tables. All the stuff like background choices, proficiencies, and everything, that's down to your personal preference. I think that's definitely something better to pick yourself than to rely on random tables for. But if you're stuck on backgrounds, this is what you can do. We have just made a Dragonborn rogue who lived in Shaquille O'Neal in house form, had a lovely stepmother who's unfortunately a politician, but is alive and well. You fought in a war, you drank a potion one time, that was wild. We all had wild times in our youth, but you're also old. So it's a question of how old is stepma? Because you're 58, so she's like 80 or younger maybe. Who knows when you were adopted? She could be weirdly close to your age. Who's to say? You are. It's your choice to make. These are just jumping off points to go off. You then have to do the work afterwards. Now, if you were going through these tables at any point and were like, I don't like that option, then good. You know what you don't want. And that, my friend, is the first step to knowing what it is you do want. Take a look at all the options that are available to you on these tables and decide to yourself, what is it I don't like about this specific option? And then is the opposite available? Is something that I do like, something that is counter to that original one available? Because that might be something you're far more interested in. These tables and the ability to roll on them are down to just if you're stuck, but they're also a great springboard for inspiration. Don't forget that. And thank you for watching. That is part 2 of this 4-part series on creating an in-depth character. I hope it was helpful. Please be sure to leave a comment below on your thoughts on what has happened here today and the unfortunate manic energy that I've been presenting it all with. I hope it was very helpful for those of you that often find themselves stuck on what they're doing for their characters. I'd also like to take this opportunity at the end to thank my patrons, Raven Ranger, Mike Dollar, and Francesca Forrest. If you wanted to become a supporter of these videos and get more content before anyone else, as well as additional supplemental content, please be sure to follow the link in the description down below and become a patron today. Thank you very much. Next part is going to be covering character voices and how you can help differentiate yourself from the character in RP. And hopefully, hopefully we'll wrap up this series soon enough. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.